when you start seeing change and transformation start in your life, when you start to see the promise of what could be, suddenly the grips of slavery tie themselves around you a little bit tighter, and things get a little bit worse. Life starts to be more challenging, and you thought, I saw freedom, I thought this was it, and it starts to get more and more difficult, and it's more and more challenging and painful. And so watch the spiritual life of us, my friends. I've seen this happen more than once. Start to move forward, and suddenly it seems like, everything breaks loose on you. You're going, why is it that suddenly I don't have my job's falling apart, why is it that this is happening, why is it, and I don't know what's going on, why is life suddenly getting so much worse? Why is it that I'm stuck in this place? Verse 15, so the Israelite foreman went to Pharaoh and pleaded with him, please don't treat your servants like this. We're given no straw, but the slave drivers still demand make bricks. We're being beaten, but it's not our fault. Your own people are to blame. But Pharaoh shouted. I read the Bible. I always love to see those little words that pop out that give you a whole lot of meaning of what's going on here in this story. It wasn't Pharaoh replied, Pharaoh said, Pharaoh shouted, you're just lazy! He's mad lazy, that's why you're saying let us go out and sacrifice to our Lord. Now get back to work, no struggle. Blood vessels are pulsing all over his head. Anger. I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a really difficult question. Are you a slave today? Are you a slave? Are you a slave? The Israelites were slaves and not living like slaves for a long time. Suddenly they got the hope of the future, they got the hope of freedom. And they grew, as soon as they had that viewpoint of the future, suddenly the slavery wrapped itself around them even tighter. Are you a slave today? You see, God can't set you free until you realize that you're a slave. God cannot set you free until you realize that you're a slave. They thought they could handle it. They thought they could take care of it. They thought they knew what they were doing. They were fine. And then the slavery got worse, to the point that they are completely discouraged. Exodus chapter 6. Moses goes before God. God tells him once again, I'm going to set my people free. Verse 9, so Moses told the people of Israel what the Lord had said, but they refused to listen anymore. They had become too discouraged by the brutality of their slavery. The brutality of their slavery. Are you a slave this morning? See, I wish that this was a feel-good, happy sermon day. We did a lot of intellectual stuff over the last several weeks as we dealt with the atheism questions. This is not a feel-good, happy sermon. Nobody wants to wake up in the morning and say, I'm a slave. But if you're going to find the abundant life that God has planned for you, not just planned, but promised to you, if you want to experience the awesomeness of a life that God has for you, it starts with you realizing that you're not living it now and you're caught up in slavery. I wish I didn't have to preach. I wish I didn't have to say it. But as I watch my own life and I watch the lives of some of us as we wrestle in the spiritual life, we keep trying to go, I've got the plan, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And never get to the point of saying, I am desperately enslaved